Hi, everyone. I'm Jean Creech Avent with Arcos Labs, and it's great to be here with our Chief Criminal Officer, Brett Johnson.
Gene, how are you?
Doing great, Brett. Gosh, we've got a really good conversation that we're going to be holding. And this is our last live broadcast for Cybersecurity Awareness Month.
I've got to tell you, it should be more than a month, and it should be more than 4 broadcasts. What we should do is start a trend. Do this every single week. Cybersecurity awareness year, and then years, and then decades, and we'll make a movement of it.
Absolutely. We actually are having we're actually hosting a virtual CISO roundtable next week. And if any of our viewers are interested and want to attend, this would be a really good one to attend. So Tyler Healy, who is the head of cybersecurity at DigitalOcean, is going to actually be talking about how companies can build a culture of cybersecurity, and that it's not just 1 month. So that's going to be a great conversation. It's kind of like what you were talking about, cybersecurity year.
That's right. Make a movement of it.
Exactly. Yeah. So if anybody is interested in joining us next week, we're going to have a whiskey tasting. It's a virtual CISO event, and Tyler Healy from DigitalOcean is going to be leading that conversation. Just leave your name in the comments, and we'll get you set up.
I'm leaving my name in the comments right now. I like whiskey.
That sounds great. Hey, listen, Brett. So we've got a big conversation to have today, and it's going into the holiday shopping season. This is when, retailers, especially e-commerce companies, especially tend to drop their defenses, and fraudsters and bad actors, they really up their game during this season. And one of the things that they leverage is bots, and specifically these Grinch bots. So tell us, how do you think about and define Grinch bots? And I see that green mug.
That's right. I got my, you know what? I had never heard, because, I'm the guy that works on the criminal side of things. So I had never heard the term Grinch bots until you said it the other day. And I thought it was the most magnificent term that I'd ever heard. I was like, finally, someone is naming something that is just, the name says it all. And what we were talking about were these bots that come in and they will buy everything before the customers who really want them to use themselves can purchase. Now, they're not illegal. And there's one of these bots, it's called Malice. And what it does is if we've got Christmas season coming up, and if you're wanting a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X or one of these new NVIDIA graphics cards or the newest, sneaker that's out or anything else like that, a lot of the times you can't find it on a merchant's website or even, the manufacturer's website, because these bots are coming in and they swipe all the inventory, and then you find it on eBay or some other marketplace for sale for several $100s over what you should be paying for that item. And that's the only way that you can get these items a lot of the time. And you called these bots Grinch bots. And when I heard that, I was like, my Lord, that's the best term I've heard in years.
So I have to say, I cannot take credit for that term. I did not coin that term.
Well, I'm giving you credit for that term.
Well, thank you. It is, I don't know who coined the term, but I have heard it before, especially around this season. And just like what you're talking about, is they go in and they scoop up all this inventory and then resell it at multiples in secondary markets. And so, when you think about that, just as a company, and one of the things that is incredibly important to every business, right, is their brand reputation, and then the trust that they build with their consumers. How do you think Grinch bots really impact that trust that a consumer has with a company, even though the company, is kind of the victim of these Grinch bots?
I think that's what a lot of people don't really understand is, and I've been in that situation. I've not used those bots, but I've been in the situation where a couple of Christmases ago, I was looking for a PlayStation 5 and a couple of Xboxes for other family members. And these bots were swiping all of the inventory. So I was monitoring Telegram, Reddit, Facebook groups, and everything else. And you would see, a merchant has a stock of these, whether it be gaming systems or graphics cards or sneakers. A merchant has a stock of those. And before any what I call legitimate customer could get in, you would have these bots coming in and just taking all of the inventory within a couple of minutes. And what you'd see after that is that people wouldn't realize that all the inventory was gone, and they would spend hours sometimes trying to just log into the site to see if they could get one of these gaming systems or what have you. And the result of that, you could go on Reddit and you go on all these other forums, and you would see people complaining about the manufacturer of the device. Well, this manufacturer of this gaming system, I'm not going to buy anymore. I'm going to go over to this other system instead. So that was common. You would have them complaining about the merchants. I can't believe that this merchant didn't implement some sort of security. I will never deal with them again. And what you see more and more is that what I call that legitimate customer, the customer that's looking to just buy this item for their own personal use, not to resell for a profit, those legitimate customers, it really causes a lot of bad feelings, poor sentiments toward that manufacturer, toward the retailer, toward every single thing that's going on as they're trying to get this item. And it boils down to trust when you think about it. It's I talk about trust a lot, and it destroys trust. It destroys sentiment toward that company. It's a really damaging thing. And a lot of people that are denied these inventory because of these Grinch bots, as you call them, they don't realize that, hey, it's not the manufacturer, it's not the merchant or retailer that's doing this. That it's not that they just want to sell product. Yes, they want to sell product, but that PlayStation 5, that Xbox, that graphics card or sneaker or what have you, the profit that they would make selling that, because they're going to sell all those anyway.
Right.
The profit that they would make selling that is nowhere near as valuable as keeping good sentiment with the customers,
with their consumers. So I agree with you. Yeah, absolutely. And so it really does present a very tangled problem.
It does.
For these companies and the retailers. And when you talked about malice, is malice a very complex bot? Is it, or do you have any idea about how complicated these bots are in general, and specifically the Grinch bots?
Sure. So most of these bots are not complicated at all. I've read several articles, and malice is really no different. I've read several articles of young children, teenagers and preteen, that are building these bots that come in and swipe inventory out. So it's not complicated. These bots are, and to that end, I will say that for merchants and retailers, manufacturers, sneaker companies, graphics card companies, gaming companies, I mean, it's not just those. It's stupid stuff that these bots are going in and swiping inventory at now. For that to be stopped is not rocket science. It's actually very simple to stop that. If you put bot mitigation in place, you don't have that problem anymore. Right. And for some odd reason, it's almost as if when we're dealing with bot mitigation, and understand that bots are, about 50% of all internet traffic. For some merchants' websites, it's 90% of the traffic that's on there. And that's not all malicious bots. Most of those bots are good bots. But it's almost as if when you're dealing with a merchant, retailer, or a manufacturer, that they only view bots as, where are they illegal? Where are they malicious? Well, these inventory denial type bots are not necessarily illegal. It's not illegal for someone to use a bot and come in and buy all the inventory up before someone else can do that. That's not illegal. But we're not always talking about illegal when we're talking about bot problems. At the end of the day, it may not be illegal, but what it does toward the consumer's sentiment, toward the merchant, toward the manufacturer, toward the product in as a whole, is much more damaging sometimes than whatever illegal activity may be going on. And that's the issue that we're dealing with. It's I would urge, we're in Christmas season. We've got a lot of items that are out there. We've got the Steam on gaming side. We've got the PS5. We've got the Steam Deck. We've got whatever new Switch may be coming out. We've got all these items on that end. We've got the new sneakers that are coming out. I expect that the Yeezys are going to go through the roof because of the Kanye issue that's
Right.
going on right now. Whatever new Nikes are out, we've got all that. We've got the new NVIDIA cards that are coming out. All these things are going to be hot items for Christmas. And we've seen over the past 2 years how effective bots are in getting the inventory before anyone else can get to it. So I would urge not only merchants and retailers, but everyone across the board. I mean, merchants, retailers, manufacturers, shipping companies.
Yeah.
I would urge all of these people to really look at putting bot mitigation in place where users are not able to use bots to come in and take all that inventory away from the legitimate consumers that are out there. I mean, and I joked about this. The thing is, I went hee hee ha ha at the beginning of our talk today, but this is really serious stuff. This is stuff that damages. The damage that this does toward user sentiment toward a company doesn't just last for a few weeks or Christmas season. This stuff will go on forever. You think about, if you're denied, if you can't get the gaming system in one ecosystem, then you're going to go to your competitors. So you're going to lose that customer and their use of your ecosystem for years. And it's not just that. It's with merchants. It's across the board. This is a problem that we really need to address because, hey, I want my shoes. I want my gaming systems. And while I know what the problem is, I still, even with me, it does cause me to have poor sentiments or negative sentiments toward the gaming systems, toward the companies, everything else like that. So we do need to have mitigation in place. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And then even just kind of, at this point in time, kind of reviewing what that looks like and making sure that these companies, retailers and the e-commerce companies and the manufacturers and the shipping companies, as you were saying,
right,
that they've got a bot mitigation program in place, technology, software program in place that can evolve as these bots evolve. Right. So
now I will say this too, Jay, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but I will say this because this is important. There are all kinds of bot mitigation companies out there. Our biggest competitor, as you know, is Google. But let's be honest, any beginning cyber criminal can get past that CAPTCHA that's out there. So when you're signing on bot mitigation, make sure you're signing on a company that knows what they're doing. All right, and that does a good job. Because you can sign on anybody, but make sure they can take care of the problem that's at hand at login, at sign up, at the denial of inventory when you're going to purchase items, everything else. So make sure you've got a company that can handle that.
So are you seeing right now that out on the dark web that sort of bad actors are really starting to chat about the Christmas shopping season? And has that already started? And what are you seeing and hearing?
Well, you're hearing stuff about Steam Deck. You're hearing stuff about, of course, the two big gaming systems of Xbox Series X and PS5, PS5 being the biggest one. You're seeing the sneaker talk as usual. So you go on Discord, you go on Telegram, you go on some Facebook groups, you go on the dark web itself, and you see this chatter of, there's Christmas is here. And at that point, people are wanting these items. We're going to make a lot of money. And you take some of these groups, some of these PS5 inventory groups, they were making several $1 million, the group themselves, on just swiping the inventory, and instead of charging $500 retail for it, you're charging $1,300. Same thing for the graphics cards. Instead of charging $1,500-$1,800, sometimes you're at $3,000 to $4,000.
Oh my gosh, yes. So they're making a lot of money off
and
of it.
It gets so bad. I think I'd mentioned this to you previously before we got on the show. On graphics cards, it got to the point that you couldn't buy a graphics card. You had to buy the complete already made system, and you would see people that would buy the system, take the graphics card out, resell the graphics card at a profit, and then the system would be on eBay or someplace like that without a graphics card. They were just dumping the systems on there. And that was the only way you could get these cards. And they were being used for cryptocurrency mining, stuff like that. But it all boils down to bots being used to swipe the inventory and denying the legitimate customer these items at retail. And that's a huge issue. And it affects adults. It affects your kids that are at the house that are wanting these toys or whatever for Christmas. And it just keeps on going. And I've mentioned the big items. All right. I've mentioned the most popular expensive items for Christmas, but we're talking about these bots are going to continue down the line and picking out any specific item that they can. Like last Halloween, the item was the Butterfinger eggs.
Yeah, you were telling me about that. So one of the things that you've seen is the shift in these bots, these Grinch bots, actually, going upstream and downstream.
Right.
So really high end items, but then just kind of popular everyday consumer items.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
So tell us a little bit more about that. That's
Well,
a big shift.
And that's what I've said in the past before. If you've got a product that makes money, a fraudster can and will make money on that same product. So you take like last Halloween, no one could really find the Butterfinger eggs at all. And they retail, you go down to Walmart, someplace like that, they'd retail, $4 a bag. Couldn't find them. But by George, you could find them on, Amazon. You could find them on eBay all day long for $14 to $16 a bag. And that's what you saw. And we saw the same thing. And I think the idea of that may have started with the pandemic. We saw no one could really find masks, and you saw them being resold on secondary marketplaces. You saw the cleaning supplies and stuff like that.
Yeah, the hand solutions.
And I think that what happens is when those, for lack of a better word, when those predators came in and started to swipe all of those goods and make money on it, they realized the profit potential. Then you see what was going on with the bots hitting initially the gaming systems and devices. So those types of people started to say, well, we don't always have to target the high-end items. Find something that's very popular at a certain time, get all of that inventory, and you can make money on it. And you can. People will, if they want something, if they desire it enough, they will pay over sticker for things. We see that in the car market right now. That's got nothing to do with bots, but we see it there. Actually, it does have something to do with bots, but that's a different conversation. I said it, and I was like, well, no, my Ford Bronco, I know a lot of those orders were taken up with bots, but it's one of these things where I think merchants, retailers, and manufacturers need to understand that it's not always the high dollar, most wanted items that is broadcast across the news. It's anything that is popular enough that if you take all of the inventory away, that you can charge more, and you will have people that will pay it.
Right.
And that's a lot of stuff when you think about it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So Grinch Bots, as we close out Cybersecurity Awareness Month, companies really need to be aware of this and the impact, not just bottom line, but the impact of their brand sentiment among consumers, right? And that can have lasting impact. Yeah. So
it's much more damaging than any credit card theft that would be out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you. And so, so listen, thank you so much for these insights, Brett. And if anybody is, really struggling with these bots and being able to sift through with high efficacy to understand what's a bot and, what's not, and who the actual consumer is, please get in touch with us because we can help.
We can. Gina, it's been a pleasure, and I look forward to doing it again.
All right. Talk to you soon. Thanks so much, Brett.